Hello everybody and welcome back to Off the Battlefield, the fortnightly podcast of Smashuu UK. This is episode 8. I'm Skrull from Newcastle.
I'm Lorenzo from London.
And this is basically the podcast where we go take you through the tournament results from recent UK tournaments as well as upcoming tournaments and the latest news in the Smash related genre. So we've got two very special guests today, so guys, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm TNT, I'm from Manchester.
Cool. And Rich, do you want to introduce yourself now, I guess?
Yeah, I'm Jin, I'm from London. I'm a member of the DTD crew that bring you all the cool events in Surbiton. And I main Zelda in Melee, so yeah, that's me.
After hearing that, David, do you want to do more
I don't know why.
Yeah, that made my intro look rubbish, didn't it? Okay, I'm TNT,
Sorry,
I'm from Northwest. I hope run tournaments around here, and I main Ness. My real name is Dave.
Cool.
Hey.
Right, well, guys, great to have you on. So let's dive straight into some results. So,
Yeah, it's been a little while since we've done the last one of these,
Yeah,
so we're backtracking quite a long way, actually, at least 2 or 3 weeks.
yes,
so
I think even further than that for some of the results we've got.
Well, let's see. Yeah, I think so. I mean, we're to begin with, we're going to look at the last mate or melee at the exchange. Shouts to the Midlands team.
Indeed. So,
Always putting in work.
yeah, we can't say that anymore. We said it too much, Lorenzo. We've run that dry. All right. So, in this event, I remember this because they said that they got more entrants from melee at the first melee at the exchange than they did PM. So they decided to cut PM altogether and have doubles. Personal preference. I absolutely love melee doubles. So I'm glad to see that that some tournaments are still running it or running it at all. But so what we've got here, he's got the top 3 results. We've got in singles, we had first Death Gazer, second Jin, and third Tamu. So and in this tournament, I think Jin actually beat Jolteon, which is a massive thing considering we've talked about Jin so much on this podcast, and I think people around the UK are talking about Jin because he's been playing for a pretty short amount of time compared to some of the more well-known names in the scene. So the fact that he's beaten this pretty big player, my phone's just gone off, apologies, but in Jolteon, that's a big thing. That's a pretty big thing. It shows that his, work is paying off. So well done to him. And in doubles, we had first Wills and Jin, second Jolteon and Inertia, and then third Deathgazer and Yenets. So interesting results, I think, all round.
Yeah, I mean, one other thing I remember about this is that Deathgazer was at my house actually before he went up to Milton Keynes. No, not Milton Keynes, to Leicester. I think he was staying with Yenets. And yeah, no, he seemed on pretty good form before he was heading up there. So congrats to him for taking the win, and also for the Midlands for getting their boys out there as well. Especially in doubles where they took it. I mean, I don't know. Like Jolteon's been playing more recently for sure, but I don't know how much like I don't know how much sort of whether it's just everyone else is catching up. I mean, Jin has been improving. We all know that.
I think it's just because I think it might be a combination of things. It could be that Jin was playing on the top of his game that day, which I think could be the case because he did, play second. That's a very good result, especially with some of the high-level players who are there. And also, he just practices so much. Like the amount of time he puts into this game is ridiculous, but it pays off. It does like that. This is an example of work paying off, and he can only go up, which is great for him. So congratulations to Jin, of course, Deathgazer, amazing Falco, incredibly technical, and just generally all-round a good player. So yeah, that was Mate 2, unless anyone has anything else to say about that.
Well, I was there, and it was a really good event.
Oh yeah, you were there.
Amazing event. Yeah, the venue is so good. Like, what they've got set up there is, like, so cool. And, like, yeah, Alex Jolteon, like, he's in a sort of a transitional period between his mains. So he's sort of moving away from Sheik, so
was he playing Fox,
it might be a bit of that. he was playing a lot of Marth.
Oh, really?
Didn't he play Sheik
yeah.
against Jin though? And Jin like not stomped it, but just did very well against him. I think Jolteon played Sheik against Jin.
Yeah, he did. He played Sheik against Jin and Tamu, but earlier on in the tournament, he hadn't played his Sheik at all until he played in the set with Blood Bowler. He switched to Sheik, and that's when he started playing Sheik from then on.
Ah, right.
And so he's sort of changing the way he's playing, sort of thinking about new ideas. But yeah, no, Jin's getting really good. Like when I played him in NES3 the other day, like just a few friendlies, he's just solid. Yeah, really solid.
I played him at NES2 as well. He just destroyed me. It was not even close. It was not even close.
Yeah.
But we'll get on to that in a second. So next up, we have Smashuu on the Wall 3, which was a Scottish tournament, which we actually sent some of our boys up to, and I know that a certain professor from the south, as well put by Shrek from Manchester, said in one of the videos that he posted on Any Smash, which you should all check out if you're part of the Any Smash page, because it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. But, they had Melee singles, Smash 4 singles, and PM singles. I can't remember if they did doubles. I don't think they did, but if they did, then somebody can correct me on the post report on Smash UK.
I think they must have done, actually, because...
They might have done. I actually, what I can do now is, if you want to read out the results, Lorenzo, I can get up Annan's challenge bracket. Oh, they had 64 as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and they did have doubles. I am so sorry.
I'm pretty sure they did, because I remember I was planning to go to that until I discovered that travel was too much. And when Prof said he was going,
that was it.
No. He said, like, who can I... He's like, I want a team in doubles with someone. Like, can it be someone not that good so I can give them a free win? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
As in, like, you know, can I make someone's day, please? You know what I
mean? Good guy, Prof, kind of.
Yeah, good guy, Prof. He was talking to me about this, actually. He said he was very impressed with the level of some of the Scottish players, actually. He thinks there are some really good players up there, and, you know, they're somewhat isolated from the rest of the UK. I mean, the Scottish scene they're a great scene, but we don't see them all too often because travel's too much. You know what I mean? Like, a few of them, I think, like Time Muffin and maybe and I think Shifting Shadows are going to be down for Legend of Melee in a while. We'll get onto that in a bit, but hope so. I mean, thankfully they'll be coming down for some of the larger tournaments. But yeah, we don't get to see them very often, and you know, get an idea of what sort of level they're at. So yeah, he was pleasantly surprised, I think.
Good.
At their level of play. Yeah. Said that. And, you know, he said he played so many friendlies that weekend, like, played with everybody. So, got a feel for it. Apparently, they're pretty good. So
good stuff. Well, we've got the results here, and I've just added in some results because I realised that they actually did a lot of tournaments at Smash Beyond the Wall 3, and I think I've just added them into NES 3. No, did I?
Yeah, you did, but don't worry about it. Just keep going.
So, at this tournament, they had N64, which is really interesting to me because we don't really see N64 a lot, but that's really good that they do have it, because I do think that's an interesting game that has, I don't know, not much of a following in the UK, but it's good to see that they put it on the tournament. So they had, so first was Jam, which I don't think surprises anyone who knows anything about Smash 64 at all, because, Jam kind of, you know, went to Apex and placed very, very well, not only in 2014, but also 2015. 2014, I think he got 9th, and at 2015 he got 17th, which is a very good result, so not surprising that he won. Second is Mr. P, who, as I understand it, is a very old school Scottish player. I think, as far as I'm aware, he's a very old school Scottish player. So, yeah, good to see that he's sort of, you know, participating in events like this. And third was Shifting Shadows, so I guess Josh is a jack of all trades, playing pretty much all the games. In Melee, of course, Prof came first, Josh, Shifting Shadows, came second, and third was Kuro, or How To, depending on how you know him best. Smash 4, they had first was Pidgey, second was Jakobine, third was Taranuke. So, in terms of the Smash 4 scene in Scotland, Pidgey is, I think, the strongest player, so no surprises there. And PM first was Prof, second Time Muffin, third was Shifting Shadows, and in Melee doubles, Zed and Jam placed first, second was Fade and Maskless, and third was Asianan and Greyfax. So that's a lot of results to go through, but basically, in the games you'd expect Prof to win, he won, and in the games that Jam expected to win, he won. So there you go. But that was an interesting tournament though, because I wasn't there personally, but I did know that some of our boys from the Northeast were up there, so I was just bracket watching the entire day, and yeah, Prof just kind of stomped through brackets, as did Jam and 64. But in PM, Prof was, apparently, this is from word of mouth, which is why I'm going off here. Apparently, Prof was going stock for stock with Deerbound. I mean, I don't know. That sounds pretty cool to me. But, I talk enough about the Northeast scene. I don't know whether any of you guys have any information on Smashuu on the Wall 3, because I only have the brackets here to go off. I don't really know how people did in regards to actually playing, but good stuff to Shifting Shadows, of course, for showing that he's still probably best in Scotland.
He is, although we've seen a little bit of a return from Captain Zeppo recently, at least at the last, what was it, OSU, I think.
Yeah, it was.
But as his mentor, I mean, Josh is fairly is pretty, as far as melee goes, he's pretty dominant up there.
Yeah.
And Time Muffin is their strongest PM player, so the results speak for themselves, really.
Mm-hmm.
Did Zeppo win Melee Dubs with Jam then? Because he's teamed with Jam at Legend of Melee, so maybe Z is Zeppo.
Yeah, I think Z might be Zeppo. I think Z might actually be Zeppo, because in the singles, I think Zeppo was there, but I can't be sure because I don't really see his name in the actual bracket. So he could have been there, and he might have been teaming with Jam, but we may never know.
Yeah.
Well, someone will tell us anyway.
Yeah, we'll get told.
But if they were, then good stuff to them. I mean, actually, one thing we can talk about a little bit more in a bit is the fact that Jam is really looking to make a comeback in Melee.
Yeah, we will talk about that, because I'm excited for that, personally. Being a massive old school fanboy of being looking at old results and be like, oh, who's this Jam guy? And then I see Apex 2014 on SSB Wiki, and I'm like, Jam from UK placed 9th in Smash 64? Who is this guy? And then you go into... Yeah, but we'll get onto that. Anyway, so unless anyone has anything else to talk about with Smashuu on the Wall 3, we will move swiftly along to NES 2, which was quite the extravaganza, I've got to say. Despite me placing poorly throughout the entire day and just doing terribly, terribly badly, I still had probably one of my favourite tournaments that we've ever done. It was so much fun. We had Prof up for the first time in Newcastle. I think the Manchester lot came up for the first time. It was great.
Yeah, a good contingent of them went up. Rich and I went up as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, Rich, was that your first time or second time playing in playing the Northeast players?
It was the first time.
What did you think
of them? It was pretty cool. Actually, the level's not bad. It's not
we surprise a lot of people when they come up. They're like, "Oh yeah, Newcastle," because people are like, "Oh yeah, Newcastle don't exist. They're free." And then it's come up like, "Who's this Deerbug? Where have all my stocks gone? What has happened to you?" It's that scary sort of experience when you don't know something and then you sort of play them. I guess I don't know.
I think what I've found was that you'll I don't know. Well, when I played Deerbound and even Dale as well, you seem really solid on your just sort of fundamentals. Basically, so it maybe not the extent of your punish wasn't amazing, but everything else was there, and then sort of the communication between you guys. Because I think Dale took Brandon off to the side for a bit to give him some tips and that sort of thing, and all that sort of stuff. So when you more people come up and start playing you guys, you're definitely going to level up really quickly.
Yeah, Dad CJ does tend to sort of give you little talks. It's come on, just stop being an idiot. It's brilliant.
Yeah, which is really good, because in other scenes, in London, we don't really have that. There's a few guys that sort of have their little thing where the one guy watches and sort of gives them tips and that sort of thing, but it doesn't really happen. So it's really cool that you guys have unity.
It doesn't happen quite as much, because the London scene is much more extended. It's not quite as tightly knit. So you can have little groups who will do that, but it's not like the NE sort of is one like unit. It's not like the NE where you guys are like one sort of unit, if you know what I mean. Yeah, no, I went up there as well. It was a lot of fun.
Were you staying with the Heaton boys again?
Yeah, I stayed with
Heaton boys.
Shout outs to Heaton boys.
Heaton boys are the best.
They are.
Aiden shouts. No, I know we say shouts a lot, and we give a lot of shouts, but your biggest fan, Aiden, in the Newcastle. I loved that man. Every time I see him, and he's like, "Hey, what's up, dudes? You want to?" Like, the dude is so nice, and it's just incredible.
He is an incredibly. He's an incredibly generous host, and the Manchester players felt exactly the same. Even they housed two of them as well, but for the most part, they basically had to take them all in. He went to meet both them and us, as in myself and Aaron, from our drop off at the coach, and took us back to their place. So we arrived and we have this like massive contingent of Manchester players sitting in the living room.
I've seen Aaron's photo of it where it's just like everyone's crammed together on like the two sofas and someone's sitting on the floor. It's brilliant. Oh man.
Yeah. So any hospitality is definitely good. So I mean, if anyone is thinking of making the trip up there, then they really should. Like, you guys are a great scene, and there's quite a lot of competition up there as well, because we've got players like we've got Midlands players, Jin, Wills, etc., who come up and place highly, and I mean, Prof came up this time with me, and he's looking to come to the next one, as am I. So it's going to be. Your monthly tournaments are really like, they have a lot of there's a lot of competition, and they're very nicely run.
And speaking of competition, I guess we can jump straight into results then, because as you said, we had Prof, Jin, and Wills here, who kind of sort of monopolied all three games. Prof winning melee and PM, Jin placing second in melee and Wills placing third in melee, but in PM, Prof won. Wills placed second and Jin placed third. And in Smash 4, Wills placed first, Guts placed second, and Ed from Manchester, I think he was from Manchester.
Yeah, he's from Manchester.
Yeah, placed third. So, good show in there. I'm glad that at least one Newcastle player is in one of the top threes. So, good stuff, Rob, Guts, love you, man. Even if it's with Diddy, you filthy scumbag, you.
Look, everyone plays Diddy in that game.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't play Diddy.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, but you don't play Smash 4. You don't play Smash 4? No, do you?
I play Smash 4.
Do you play NES then?
No, I play Pac-Man.
Oh, well.
Oh, I respect that. That's a quality character right there.
Pac-Man's so fun, man.
Oh yeah, David, you were there as well. What was your thoughts on NES while we're just talking about NES briefly?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. All of you guys were really nice. So it felt like a Manchester tournament. That's how well it was run. It was like one of our own.
Fair enough. It must be quite nice to go to another region and find they actually like PM as well.
Yeah.
Because
this has been my first out of Manchester tournament for ages as well. So it was very nice.
Brilliant.
It was a pleasure to have you all up. So, jumping into the next set of tournament results, we have Final Destination 7, which was in Wales? I can never remember where
Final Destinations are always Cardiff, mate.
Cardiff. Alright, yeah, always Cardiff. Listen to them, don't listen to me. So, for...
shouts to the... apparent. I mean, from what I heard from Vincent, a.k.a. BR Tarog, who went over there, they run very, very good events. Very nicely run. A lot of space, a lot of setups. That's generally down to the work of Mr. Harvey Carmen and Mr. Candy, basically. So, shouts to them. Because, apparently they're running very good events over there. And, in terms of results, Vince actually took first in melee, so good stuff to him. BR Tarog, who's one of, I think, actually the more underrated, he's one of the slightly more slept-on players in the UK, considering, he's just been down south playing with the big boys, grinding constantly, and he does travel, and he does place well, but often he doesn't get talked about enough. So, Vince,
well done, Vincent.
Yeah,
Golf clap.
I'm all right. Mans is putting in work. I don't care how many times you've said it. This guy deserves it to be said about him. He's definitely putting in the work, and we'll see good stuff from him in time to come. Don't worry about that.
Speaking of people in time to come, Jam placing second. Jam boys, yes mate. I think he's playing Fox now, isn't he? As opposed to Falco.
He's playing Fox.
Good man. Going with the meta game. May as well. And third is Omadon. And if any of you have watched the video that Carlson posted on Smash UK, which is Team Air's quote-unquote The Struggle, which is helping Jam getting better at Melee again, supposedly they said that though Omadon is quite rusty, he's still super good. So, yeah, I think, and he's still playing Peach. So, Omadon, good stuff, man. And in PM, I think... pretty unsurprisingly, first was Mr. Candy with Bowser Doe. Second is BR Tarog, who I'm assuming was playing Sheik. And third, Omadon, who I know for a fact was playing Peach. So, pretty interesting results. Candy overcoming a pretty bad matchup in Sheik, which is Sheik Bowser, as you can just assume, is just awful. It is god-awful. You're just basically a walking hitbox against someone with so many hitboxes that they can just go vadoof, and you're just dead. That's it. But good stuff, Candy. You won, and you defended your sort of tournament that you.
If we want to talk matchups, I don't know how good that matchup is, but Sheik gets destroyed by crouch cancelling, and there is no better crouch canceller than someone who gets super armor when they crash. To be fair. Just putting it out there.
Fair enough.
I can imagine there was a lot of up B.
Well, there's got to be. There's not really much else you can do. So, moving on from that then, Meltdown. Lorenzo, you want to take it away on this one, bud?
Yeah. The latest Meltdown was... It was a pretty quiet tournament, and actually we didn't have any huge guns coming out, because occasionally Prof comes out to these and Jolteon sometimes as well. But this time, just a simple melee bracket, about 21 entrants, I think it was. First was Shufu winning his second Meltdown. He's starting to feel himself a lot, so good on him. He deserves it. Second was Slim Al, who shout out to this guy. He's a guy, an affiliate from the States who goes to UCL, same as myself and Martin, in fact. And he's been playing with us a bit while he's over here for a few months. Also an ICs player, so we had a bit of an ICs Grand Finals, which is not something you see very often. And yeah, he took second, so good on him. And third was Takesha, who also an old school sort of ex-Southampton Marth, who trains me quite a lot in the Marth Ditto matchup constantly. And so good on Duncan as well. Nice little tournament, and the next one will be, I guess, next week. So yeah. Meltdown, same as always. Get on down there on Wednesday nights.
Cool, good stuff. And moving swiftly along then to not SoCal regionals, South Coast regionals. Sorry, I see SCR and just assume fighting news. SCR4, which had an amateur bracket. I'm quite. Was anyone there?
I was. Okay. I was. One thing I will say is I believe Final Destination also had an amateur bracket, which is one reason that Vince was advocating it so much. This is a thing that people I think are starting. I don't know if it's an old idea, but it's definitely an idea that people should be holding on to, because it just means more matches for weaker players, and that's always a good thing. As much tournament experience as you can have, as much experience you can have in tournament conditions, whoever it's against, is brilliant. So the things we had, some of the things that really are great about some of these smaller tournaments like SCR and Final Destination is the round robin pool system. Very good system if you can do it, of course. These are small tournaments, but if you can do round robin pools, great way. Everyone prefers them. Everyone prefers round robin pools, and also the idea of an amateur bracket. So even if you don't make it out of pools into quote unquote pro bracket, you can still play in a bracket. So it basically meant that everyone who went there and paid their entry fee got their money's worth. They got lots of games, no matter how well they did. So I think that it was good stuff. R23X1 always Southampton boys, great hosts as well. Thank you for housing all us London players who came down, and they run a very good tournament. Yeah.
And so, in terms of results then, in Melee, of course, Professor Pro placing first, second R23, and third BR Talrog. I think that's a very interesting result that Alex, although I love him, actually beat Vince. I think that's pretty cool that Alex is
I'll throw the Johns out for Vincent if he likes, but basically Vince was at least 1 or 2 up on him, and then his controller broke.
Oh,
in the middle of a game.
Johns, man, Johns.
His controller did legitimately break, though.
Yeah.
In the middle of a match.
If it did genuinely break, then I feel bad for him, but
yeah. Alex is not satisfied with this win either.
Oh.
For this reason.
Well then, that's going to damper on my excitement. Oh well. On to the amateur bracket then. First, Candy was he playing Bowser?
Yes.
Yes, mate.
You believe he was, yes.
Yes, mate. Love Candy's Bowser so much in any game.
It's hilarious.
And second was Shaky, and third Tube. So, good stuff on your placements in the amateur bracket, lads. Good stuff, man.
Yeah, Shaky unfortunately had to leave because he'd made his way to winners finals. But I think he won winners finals and then had to leave.
Oh,
but
that sucks.
It can't be helped. Good on him.
Yeah.
Essex boys put on a good showing there, I think.
Also, there was Smash 4 as well, where Silent Doom placed first, R23 placed second, and JD placed third.
Silent Doom, another D2D boy, is that correct?
Yeah. What a legend. So happy for him to actually get his first tournament win.
Woo!
So good.
Good stuff, Jordan.
Yeah.
With Shulk and Olimar as well. This guy doesn't play Diddy Kong. This guy does. This guy plays characters. He doesn't play Diddy Kong.
Doesn't play gimmicks.
Well, he doesn't play Hoo-Ha the game.
Oh, I see.
He actually plays Smash 4. Not many people actually do that.
Alright. So, there was also a BUC event. Is this...
Yeah, no, this is the stuff that's being run by JJ Lineard.
Yeah, the uni thing, alright.
The British University, well, I can't remember what it stands for, but...
Circuit. I think it's been too long since we've heard about it, really.
But basically, this is the first of their actual qualifiers. It was meant to be single elimination bracket because this is a very trial run and it was very hard to organise things. But sadly, 3 teams had to pull out. A lot of teams are pulling out. Sadly, I'll go on to this, but UOL is also having to pull out of next weekend's event.
Oh,
these are all unis and it's coming up to exams and everyone's frantic. So it's very difficult for us to for anyone really. So basically 3 teams in the end had pulled out of this leg. So all that was there was Southampton, who obviously because they were there anyway. University of Essex, good contingent of them came down, led by JJ Lineard, and Oxford Brooks. We had players like Oyton and Twin. Oyton actually did very well at this tournament, and he's on the rise. So good stuff to him. However, in the crew battles, they got destroyed. Oxford, I'm sorry.
Oh wow!
In the words of Southampton, they got given the rinse. They really did.
Rinsed out.
Yeah, they did. And
then UV placed second, and Southampton placed first. I'm assuming Southampton was R23, X1.
R23 doesn't go to the uni anymore, so it was basically. It was Tristan, aka X1, because he's alumni and that counts because he's just a year out of uni.
Fair enough.
Jomo, Demo, I think formerly known as Demo J, who did a lot, who basically went on point for them and took 7 stocks or something crazy.
Oh wow, brutal. That's really good for him.
Yeah, he did really well in the crew battles, so good on him.
Good stuff, Demo.
Yeah, and a couple of other of their Southampton players, whose names I'm trying to remember. I think one called Schmarv, who I've played in pools. another Marth and a couple of other players. But yeah, they've agreed. They have agreed the strongest team in terms of what we think, and they took first. I think or at least commandingly.
Fair enough. And moving on from that is a very recent tournament that's happened, which was the Teesside Tournament number 2, which happened up here again in the Northeast. That was hosted by Didiz and Scotty Tay, and that happened on Teesside, obviously. And
these two tournaments were there just this weekend gone.
Yep. And at Teesside, there weren't any out of region players, but some very, very cool results. Just for me personally, being from the Northeast and just seeing these people do well. So first in melee, we had Didiz reclaiming his crown as king of Teesside. He's not won anything in the Northeast in a little bit, which I'm happy about. Love you, Lorenzo. Second was Sui, and third was Ducker. Which I'm surprised by, because Ducker and Sui always have a sort of like back and forth in terms of games, but good to see that Sui actually did place pretty damn well. So, but I've heard there were some funny stories from that, including Sui punching a CRT, which I won't go into any further than just saying that and leaving it at that, because it's hilarious.
Okay. Before we get off this topic, Lee, I've said this already, but in NES3 you'll get your money match, mate.
Oh yes, Ditto money match. Let's go. Oh wait, I've forgotten to say something about NES2. So there was a money match between me and Wills and Icy's Ditto. I lost it 2-0, and I have to say on the podcast, I was wobbled by Wills, and I enjoyed it. There we go. It's out of the way. It's done. I hate myself. Wow. Right, so that's done. Moving on to PM at Teesside Tourney 2 then.
There was quite a lot of disrespect to that event from what I remember.
It was so bad. I just remember Jin after I screwed up my pools game coming into with a packet of salt and just handing it to me and then leaving. God damn you, Jin. So PM at Teesside Tournament 2. First was Deerbound, who I think is arguably... I honestly, going to put this out there, I honestly think Brandon Deerbound is a really strong PM player and can probably take a lot of games off a lot of people if he stopped going on tilt. Second was Sir Aaron, and third was Jexel. And in Smash 4, first was Gut, second was Pancake, and third was Ducker. So Ducker getting his results in each game. I think he got fourth in PM as well. And I love Mike, so I've got to give him some props for that.
Yeah, Mike, duckiness. We love duckiness.
We love duckiness. We'll talk about him in a few minutes, actually. And also I want to just give a quick little expose on my friend Jexel here. I think I've talked about Jexel on one of the other podcasts, on the other episode, because he is, I think he's honestly one of the fastest rising players in the Northeast. He plays Wario in PM, and he plays Peach in Melee. And the rate at which he picked up Peach in Melee was alarming. I think I sat down with him and another of our players, Ecto, or Zill, whatever tag he's going by this week, and we just sit down and he was like playing Peach, and I was literally just giving him pointers, and he was just picking them all up. So I'm glad to see Jackson getting the results. I'm glad to see Sir Aaron taking his throne as, one of the top 3 in the Northeast. DCJ, I've got to note though, this is a tournament that people have to sort of travel to. It's a bus ride to wherever it's held. I can never remember, but but DCJ wasn't there. I wasn't there. A lot of the Heaton boys weren't there. So I don't know. Take from that what you will. But they're still pretty solid results. So yeah, that's all the tournament results we got for now. But so should we jump into topics then?
Yeah.
All right. So the first thing on our agenda is something very, very cool, which we've I don't think we've talked about it yet, but it's
going on right now.
It is going on right now, and that is Professor Pro's plan for project really, Raise UK 2016, which is basically, from what I can gather from it, it's Prof taking some of our better players, or just players that he knows have potential, and just training the crap out of them until they become ultra gods of the UK or whatever. And I think this is a really cool idea. I absolutely adore this idea, because Prof doesn't have to do that. We talked about this in the last show. Prof doesn't have to do this, but he's just doing it because he wants to see the UK succeed, which I think is super cool. And the players that he's getting in, I think are just genuinely good choices. Like
the first wave is these are choices, and these are very good. He's talked about literally there are so many players deserving of this. Literally, but his only requirement really is that you have proper technical proficiency with your character. So long as, I mean, this is quite right. Basically, all he wants is he doesn't want just very strong players who he can train. He just wants people who he doesn't have to go through basic tech skill with. So long as he can say to them, look, can you please, look, in this situation, can you do like a wave dash back pivot grab or something like that? Or at least like, yeah, can you do nice simple nice simple bits of tech skill that your character needs? Can you be technically proficient with your character, and then can you do the things I ask you to do? And if you can do all that, then great, I will teach you.
You can see in the first wave of players that he's got as well lined up. So we've already had X1 play, and that was pretty cool to see, getting Southampton. But, first two players in it are Southampton, X1 and RT3, but, whatever.
X1 did say to me that, he did say, well, I don't know, he was probably joking. When I asked him if how was the hyperbolic time chamber when I was there in SCR4, he was like, it all went over my head. You know what I mean? It's too quick. I mean, from what I remember watching that, it was quite funny. I remember him playing with Alpha Dash, and then people taking bets on how long it would take to eat his dinner. Oh. And then poor X1, I felt a bit sorry for him having to like. And Prof bet like 18 minutes, and he was like, "Take your time, take your time, take your time." He won as well. I owe him £1 now because of this.
Oh no, that one solitary pound.
I'm very salty.
Yeah. He's actually got a player in now, actually, as we are recording this on his stream, which you can follow out. Yeah, it's Jam. Very old school player, back in 04 and through 04 and to 06. He was like the best melee player in the UK as well, wasn't he? Or something to that extent. He was like,
he
was up there, yeah. Yeah, it was him, Fuzzy, and that
Zeppo, wasn't it? Was it Zeppo?
Yeah, oh yeah, Zeppo, yeah.
Yeah, so it's good to see that Jam's coming back. This is something I really want to talk about, because from when I joined the scene, I was really interested in the UK scene of Smash. So I was like watching old footage, and I was like, "Oh, who's this Jam guy? He seems like so good." And I was like, and I remember, I think I may have asked ages ago, like maybe 2013, start of it. I remember asking someone like, "Whatever happened to Jam?" And then someone was just like, "He just doesn't play melee anymore." Like for a while, he had Isaiah, and was just like, "I'm going back to 64. Later, nerds." And then he's back after, and I think he said that after he went to Beast, he was like, "I want to play melee again," which is good. Welcome back, Jam.
All right.
Play more melee. The other players he's getting in soon, I think, are going to be Jolteon and Manula. I'm going to be honest here. As much as I like Jolteon, as much as I like him, couldn't we get like some of maybe the lower level players in first, or maybe the returning old school players in before we start getting in like people like Jolteon who are already really, like in my eyes, quite good, who maybe might not need as much of a hyperbolic time chamber as other people might do. I don't know. That's only personal opinion, but I'm just intrigued as to what you guys think on that.
I mean, Rich, you go first.
Oh yeah, when I first saw the first few lists, I was thinking that Prof was just training up like key figures and regions so they could go back and transfer the knowledge to everyone else, sort of thing. So you start with the top players, get them up a bit, and then they can train everyone else up in the area, so it helps him in the way. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
That would be.
I think that's the way you're doing it.
Yeah. I think that would be a very nice idea. Although I think his just idea really is that he just it's certainly a start. Although it's not as if he's trying to like teach. It's not as if he's trying to teach a message. He's trying to be very, very specific to the player. Because one part of this is that he's going through all of these. He's going to go through all of the key matchups for the player's main character. So he's going to actually, because he was talking to me about this on the way up to Newcastle, I think. He was basically saying that it's going to involve him having to, sit down, find really textbook examples of the way the matchup should be played. For all the key matchups of a character. So say for X1 he had to find good good key examples of the way Falco should be played versus, e.g., like Fox in the Ditto versus Marth versus Peach versus Puff versus Ice Climbers, etc., etc. And with Jam, I mean, it's much easier for Jam because he's a Fox main, so or he is now, so no problems there. And with Jolteon, from what Aaron was telling me, apparently is now a Fox player. So
you say that, but when he came up to Air Raid, he was playing Marth the majority of the time, or he was like occasionally putting Sheik in there, and I was like, oh yeah, oh wait, no, it's back to Marth again. Okay, cool.
I'd love to see his Marth. What Prof said to me is he thinks that Alex Marth suits his style very nicely. More so than Fox. He doesn't see Jolteon as a Fox player. But Jolteon wants to be a Fox player now. That's what I've heard anyway. Rich, you're his fellow crew.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about the Fox, to be honest. All I've heard is Marth.
Great signs.
Marth.
Signs.
So,
I'd be very happy to be proven wrong. Because I love seeing good Marth. So, yeah. And if we talk about Manula for a minute, actually, this is a guy I play with quite a lot in London. Very, very. He has a huge amount of potential. So this is one player I think who's really going to get a lot from what Prof's going to give him. He's gotten one of his first placings sort of worthy of his actual skill level recently at SCR. I think he placed about 5th.
Oh, good stuff.
In Melee. So he did very well, and he's a very, very strong player. And his tournament results, because of somewhat inconsistencies, haven't been reflected in that until now. So I think once Prof's done with him, we'll have a really good player on our hands. So I'm very, very pleased that Prof's going to be teaching him. And one thing, there are so many players, as he said, that he wants to deal with. He's going till 2016, so that's a lot of time.
He wants to deal with. That sounds so menacing. I'm going to deal with you now. Sit down, Sonny Jim. Grab your controller.
Well, he wants to be the Piccolo to their Gohan anyway.
Yeah.
And he wants to he's literally considering apparently picking names out of a hat because there are too many people. Literally, there are so many players now. This is a very good thing. There are so many players who are basically at the level that he's willing to teach or hire.
That's great, yeah.
So, in every scene, there are players who are capable of getting a lot out of his tuition. So, he's really, obviously it helps if you can,
Okay, this raises an interesting
travel.
point then, because what if we all suggest one player from our specific region that we would like to see in the Professor Pro, School of Hard Knocks, shall we say? The Prof Dungeon, if you will.
alright.
So, David, do you want to start? Who would you from Manchester like to see?
Well, if it's for Melee, it'd probably just be Bullet Bill, because no one else really plays Melee in Manchester. Bullet Bill still plays it, but no one else really does.
Well, that's...
I think I'm just going to put Aaron on record saying he will not do it for Bullet Bill. Because
What?
He doesn't learn. That's what he says.
Oh, Ben, learn things.
How long has Ben been playing? He's been playing a long time. And he's stagnant.
Well, he is known as the gatekeeper, isn't he? So.
Yeah, he's a gatekeeper for a reason because he's stagnant. That's. I'm not sure if this is true anymore, but he doesn't take Melee as seriously anymore, does he? Really, or at least
not as seriously as he once used to.
It'd be quite tricky. You guys are PM, really, aren't you? I suppose Aaron would be. He could do this for PM as well.
Isn't he doing it for PM as well? Didn't he play some PM with R23 when he was there?
Possibly.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he's told me that he really is going to grind PM soon because there's a tournament. What's it called? I don't know. There's a big tournament in the States soon. I'm trying to remember what.
It's on his stream bio if you want to just go to that and just check it out.
Basically, he is fed up of placing second at major events in PM, and he wants to go to somewhere where everybody is playing, and he wants to to take first, which is quite right. I mean, I certainly enjoy it. I would if I were him.
Yeah.
Heatwave is the name of the tournament, by the way.
That's it. All right. So back to this, who you'd like to see. Rich, who would you like to see in the Dungeon of Prof? Which sounds super weird now that I think about it.
Well, I would have actually picked Manula as well as my main pick, because the guy is so quick to learn. Like, first time I played him, he knew all about how to SDI out of all my stuff with Zelda, which is really rare to find people that already know it all. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I know all this." I was like, "What? Like, why? Yeah, why do you know this?" But,
he plays a bit of Zelda. I will.
Really? Oh, okay.
He plays a bit of Zelda. He plays a bit of Mewtwo. He'll play a bit of everything. Like, he's one of those guys. I mean, he and his brother is actually Shadowman X5, who's another player in the scene.
Yeah.
And they've played each other for forever and ever and ever. So they found out a lot about the game, stuff that most people don't know.
Oh, that's good.
Probably my second pick I've got Kaze Wolf, probably Kieran.
Yeah.
Like,
Kieran.
He's sick. He's sick. And many of you guys probably wouldn't know, but do you know Neptunes?
Nope.
Yes, I know
Big boy Neptunes. Yeah. His younger brother is really, really good at melee. Like, ridiculously good. And he doesn't play.
What's his tag? Is it you go down?
He hasn't got a tag. He hasn't got a tag, no. But, like, he came around my house with Neptunes, and there was a few guys there, like Prof was there as well. And he was just amazing. And he was like 15-year-old kid. I was just like, someone like Neptunes had been trying to convince him to come like play, but he won't. So maybe if Prof like puts him under his wing, then he might. But yeah, he's a really good player.
I haven't seen Neptunes in ages. I mean, he plays Halo, doesn't he? Like, he's really old school, and then he gave it up to go play Halo, didn't he? Isn't that right?
He hasn't really given up. He was, I don't know, he was getting really busy with like family life and stuff, and he couldn't like attend events at the weekend, so he could just stay at home and play Halo because it's easy. But he wants to start playing again. He's came to time to try like the previous one, and he's going to come on Friday. He's coming on this Friday, the one on Friday this week. So
I'd love to play him again. Because the last time I think he played me, I was totally scrubby. I think this time I could surprise him.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, Lorenzo, who's your pick for the Prof Dungeon then? Just while we're on this, while we're still on the subject.
Manuel is a very good pick. I'd also like to see Kieran, although Kieran's been quite inactive recently because of work. But as in Kaze Wolf, but right. Yeah, these are some players who they haven't been playing very long, but very, very huge quantities of potentials. If you just know where to put it. I mean, there are quite a few players. I mean, of that sort of skill level, provided they're willing to put in the put in the work.
Hey, you got to put it in that situation.
Yeah. Sure. I would quite like to see Martin go on there as well, although as in Shufu. But Prof has told me. Well, it's the thing. Prof has told me. I mean, that's just one character he doesn't play, so it's quite hard for him to really.
Could he not just get AD in to help? Or no? Okay.
Kappa.
Well, Kappa. So strong with the Kappa.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. There's an issue there, but otherwise, Martin would be a good pick. Just any one of these, because there are a lot of players like that who are very. Actually, another player I would say who really could would do well with it is also Chili Con Carnage.
Oh, fair enough.
AKA well, no, that's his tag. He is a very, very competent Sheik player. Very, very good. Very, very good execution with his character. His biggest flaw is he can't tech chase very well, but aside from that, his play style is very, very clean. Another UCL guy. He's been completely bodied by work recently, so he's been very inactive. But he'd also do really well to just as if we're talking about London players, I'd love to see these guys. I'd very much like to see Prof take under his wing, because they'd really they're good players who are looking to level up more, and that he obviously you can't. There's no better place for leveling up more than some grind time with Prof.
Yeah, I think my personal pick would be one of two people. Well, one of three people actually. I'd either pick TFU Dan because I think his Fox is already pretty good, but he could just elevate it that little bit farther. And I think he's pretty competent already. You know, we saw him do an amazing comeback against Wills, which just made me happy internally. Also on the mic, it wasn't internally at all. I screamed my head off. I would also like to send Ducker down there, because I think Prof might confuse him with Fuzziness and just sort of let him play like Trial by Fire and just really go at him. But yeah, Ducker would probably...
He's met him now.
I know. We had to show him it. He was just too funny not to.
He laughed a lot when he saw
it was brilliant. Or I talk about this guy too much. Brandon Dearbound, the dude is scarily good at Smash, like naturally. Like when he was trying to pick up Melee, he was like, "Oh, I don't know, have a character." I was like, "Oh, just try Falcon." He's like, "Falcon's very fun." And then he started beating people and joined 7th at NES2. I can't remember who he played in bracket though.
Rich, he played you, didn't he?
Me. He played me. He beat me. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, didn't see that coming.
I watched that game. I watched that game.
I was watching that game. Yeah, I was.
What?
Yeah. I was just wondering why you play Zelda. Watching that game, honestly, like
Zelda Falcon is rough.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, but you know, it's a part and parcel of the character. Like every matchup's rubbish, and it's just about the challenge of trying to like make it. But you know, I've been doing all right recently, and
yeah,
you have, yeah,
progress. You know, so. Yeah.
I would definitely like to see those players. Dan would really.
Dan would thrive so well if he wasn't doing work and if he had enough money to get down to London.
Yeah. I mean, one thing. Well, yeah. Heaton boys. In fact, any players, you can always have a place at my house if you ever come down. So
that's great. One thing we can move on to then is Rich. I believe you want to talk about venue fees somewhat.
What? Did I?
Well, it's on the show.
Is it? Oh, okay.
If you want to go for it, it's UK news and it's
well. Anyway, I mean,
yeah, I've just got all the venue fees for all the events coming up.
Oh, really? All right, well,
that's all I meant. Yeah,
we will put that in the upcoming stuff then.
Exactly.
One thing we can talk about then is because it is related to UK news and it's from NES2 because it's close to my heart and it makes me laugh because it's just so like slightly poetic. I don't know whether any of you saw this, but
I certainly have.
Yeah. On Reddit, on the Smash Bros subreddit, there was a GIF that reached top of the page, and it was a GIF entitled "I don't even know what happened to you," and it is a certain Falcon trying to side B back onto the stage and just goes straight through the stage of Battlefield. That player was none other than Ducker himself from the Northeast, Captain SD himself, Duckiness, however you want to call him. It's almost poetic how on the Smash Brothers on the Project M subreddit, there's Sir Aaron who's gotten quite notorious for Lucario combos and just being Aaron on there, and also just on the Smash Brothers subreddit, Ducker suiciding and getting 1,000. I thought this was quite funny, just personally to me, because like Ducker for a while was known as SD King, and when we had an event called the Golden Pasties up in Newcastle, when we had awards being given out, you know, like Jokey awards, or like some serious like most improved player, best commentator, stuff like that. There was also an SD award going to the person with the most SDs, and that one person that won it was Ducker. So I just find it poetic that it just sort of happened to him. But yeah, that's just a bit of silly news that I thought would go in there because it's UK news and it's Ducker, and we love Ducker.
Have you other guys seen that?
I saw it on Reddit. I didn't realise it was Ducker though. Like, I didn't even notice the overlay on it. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I love it. Anyway, moving swiftly along from that silly bit of news, we have something that I've actually been quite interested in, which is, recently, one of the best players in the world, arguably, Leffen, was picked up by esports team TSM, Team Solo Mid. And this is quite interesting to me because it just shows another example of a big esports team delving into Smash Brothers as a whole. Like, in the UK, I think the only esports team that's really, you know, jumped into Smash as a whole has been VWS, and beyond that, there have not been really any other teams that have like dipped their toes in. So I'm just sort of wondering, because with esports teams picking up Smash players, it's not like a validation of it being an esport, because I think Smash is sort of teetering on the edge of being an esport and kind of not being an esport. I'm just intrigued as to what you guys think on this subject, because I think esports teams are going to have a great effect on Smash, because it's going to be, the better players are going to be able to travel more, they're going to be able to help more people because they're being, given a salary, a professional gaming salary. But I'm just genuinely interested into what you guys think about this.
Well, you want to go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'll go. Well, it's got to be good for Smash, so you say like it's on the edge of being an esport, but like the only thing that's stopping it from not being a big esport is like there's only like 5 or 6 players that have got these big esport sponsors. So if we can branch out and get more of them, then it's definitely just going to help Smash break through and be the esport that it actually can be. So it's all good for Smash.
Yeah.
I think one thing that that will just help there is if people level up, because at the moment the only players with huge sponsorships are the top 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got Leffen, we've got Mango, we've got PPMD, got Armada now, all of whom have been picked up by huge gaming teams. Hungrybox is also Curse. We've also got a
Liquid now.
Liquid, of course, yeah.
Liquid purchased Curse Networks, so now they got Chillin'. But we've also got some of the old school Smashers as well, which I honestly heavily disagree with having Ken sponsored.
Well, Ken,
KDJ, Chillin'. I honestly do not believe those guys. Well,
you got to sponsor Ken. Ken's iconic, though. That's the thing. Like,
that's the problem. I think that's the problem with it, though. I think the problem is that they're sponsoring him for his name rather than his talent. Like, there are so many better players who could be sponsored by.
I don't know. Like, Ken still goes to tournaments, and he still plays in like definitely top 8 at a lot of the tournaments he goes to. Like, not like the major ones where you've got Mango and Mewtwo King, just because like he's still stuck in like 2006 way of playing.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
he still places relatively well. Like, I don't really get why KDJ is signed, because he didn't really do much. I've not really heard his name
travel,
a lot.
But
so,
he
yeah.
still. I think that's the same case though. Like, he still does pretty well.
Yeah, but Ken travels more though. That's the thing.
Yeah, but that's because he's not really doing anything else. Survivor's over. I mean,
one thing that you probably will realise is the salary/contract that Hungrybox has with Liquid compared to the other 3 players mentioned will probably be giving him more stuff, basically because he does better.
Yeah.
Like when you have a contract, when you are sponsored by a team such as this, your contract will not be the same as everyone else's who is sponsored.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you're right. I mean, he's, I'm assuming when Liquid picked him up, they already knew about the whole 5 Gods thing. They already knew, they'd already sponsored KDJ and Ken. I think those were the first 2 official sponsorships.
Yep.
In the Smash community as a whole. Well, esports sponsorships anyway. Like, Ken and KDJ were picked up, then Chillin' by Curse, and then everything else sort of snowballed. And I think it was because of Liquid that everything else did snowball, because I don't think if Liquid had picked up those 2, then they wouldn't have picked up anyone else. Because it was just that snowball effect needed. Like, somebody needed just to push it, and then everyone else would get sponsored. Which I think is a good thing, then, in that case. I guess they did do something good for the Smash community in 2014. But, yeah, I get you now, because Ken and KDJ, I think Liquid know they're not really going to place those 1 and 2 spots, whereas Hungrybox has and will continue to do.
Yes, this is why. I mean, as I said, they're happy to have these players under their name, but depending on how good they are, they will be given more, and provided with more, provided with streaming equipment or paid to travel more, because it's like if they won't. For instance, if they wanted one of their players to go to Europe, they would send Hungrybox. They wouldn't pay for Ken or Korean DJ to fly to across
or Chillin', because they just know he's going to lose
or definitely Chillin' to fly across the world or across even the States to compete in a tournament, because they won't place and their name won't get shown off. But if Hungrybox goes, then their name will get shown off, because he will do very well, or he has done consistently. I mean, this is how they are with, say, Alliance, and as in Alliance are with Armada, or because they'll be happy to send him somewhere based on the fact that he'll win it or do or get very, very close to, because he's Armada. And Mango, I don't know. It depends. It depends how much he's willing to travel, but the same sort of thing. Leffen is going to, and this is I'm calling Prof out a lot of stuff because we had a bit of a chat on the way up to Newcastle. But he said that what Leffen told him, this was in the works, I think, for a little while. Is Leffen said he's not going to ask for very much to begin with, but then he's going to say to TSM, he's going to say, start me off nice and little with a little salary, yeah, and then come back to me when I win Evo. That's what he said.
Oh my god! All right, Leffen. Wow. All right, I see you. All right.
That's what I've heard anyway, and I wouldn't put it past him.
You know,
I heard it's definitely the best deal in esports for Smash so far, because he's got unlimited flights to LA as well. He can go there whenever he wants.
That's brilliant.
And he also, I think he's getting a retainer of like 480 quid a week or a month, or.
Oh my
god! So he's getting like paid.
That man's making bank.
Yeah, so like just the flights alone makes it worth it. Like just to be able to fly over to LA, because that's where their headquarters is. So
yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, Leffen of all people, it's been long enough without him being given a big name, because he's the player who was most sponsorable that didn't have one.
Yeah.
For too long.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess so. Yeah.
It'd be very nice for other high level, top level players to be given such sponsorships, but it's only really going to happen if they show that they expose themselves, as being very, very good players, being players that will be able to go to any tournament and rep their company or rep their team. You know what I mean?
True.
I mean, on the lower level, like there are lots of. Henry, you're technically a sponsored player, aren't you?
I guess I'm also a part of a team of staff rather than like properly sponsored. But yeah, there are certain perks to it, but I can't go into those.
There are loads of people with a few characters before their actual tag, but it's all relative.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one thing that would be nice though, and I have wondered about this for a while, is sort of the idea of like sponsorship, even if it's not a huge team. Just the idea of like lower level sponsorship within the more run of the mill rungs of players, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I think those do exist though. I think in America you see like game shops actually sponsoring players. Like I know Wobbles, for example, is sponsored by a game exchange store, as are a few other people in the Texas area, and you start to see stuff like that. Like, again, another example here in the Northeast, I know DCJ, Deerbound, Sir Aaron, to some extent, are all sponsored by UA. I'm not too sure what... I know, of course, Manchester, 8-Bit Planet.
Yeah, we got the 8-Bit Planet sponsors, boys.
Yeah, no, you guys should... you should give your input on this, David, because, like...
Yeah.
Well, as a sponsored player, what changes?
It's just, like, team support as well. Like, I mean, I'm not going to go into like what we get from our sponsors, but
sure.
It's just like we're all now this one team, and like it unifies us a lot as well. So, like we were all a solid unit before, but now it's like we're definitely a unit. And when we go to a tournament, we're representing the sponsor. And like for example, at NES2, Jake placed 4th. So like because we got sponsored, we've been putting more time into playing. So, like, if we didn't get sponsored, we probably wouldn't have been as dedicated to it.
Yeah.
So, like, it's good for just dedication to the game as well.
All right, absolutely, yeah.
It's that sort of, like, reinforcement, isn't it? Where it's just like, I've got to put in a bit of effort now. And that's good. Yeah, that's a really good point, yeah.
Absolutely.
But did you guys see the announcement in the Struggle video as well?
Oh, how Jam is part of the Air Team.
Oh, he's sponsored by the Air Team.
He's sponsored by the Air Team. He is indeed. Yeah, good stuff, Jam. I mean, I guess that's definitely a motivator for Jam then, if he's like, part of a certain, he's now under the wing of Air, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna just. That's an encouragement, if anything, because to be an old school player and to come back into the scene and be like, we want you to get better and to be back up to where you were. That is a definite motivator, because it shows you've got people behind you who are willing to put that extra effort in just to push you further on in terms of the scene and your gameplay. And I absolutely love that. So, good stuff, Cone and Blood Bowler, for making that choice. Couldn't have thought of a better person to motivate than Jam.
Yeah. Well, when I went out on a night out with Cone, he was talking about how... And then also Peter, Inertia... they basically want to bring in, like, they're really excited and they really want to like try and like make low level sponsorships happen, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I know Peter's been thinking about it for a while, about trying to like set up his own little team and sponsoring players and like help them get to.
DTD, innit?
Will that be DTD, or will that be like something else, like Time to Try or something? I don't know.
I don't think he'd sponsor his own us lot or help, but he'll probably find like. He'll make his choice and he'll like do it. But
can I bring up one important point real quick? Can we talk about how VA isn't sponsored yet? Can we just talk about this? Like, I know he's got other stuff going on, but being like the third best in the UK, surely that merits some sort of sponsorship. I'm very shocked that we haven't ever I've realised this. We talk about Fuzzy and Prof a lot. We talk about them a lot, and we talk about VA something. But we never consider how Prof and Fuzzy. Yep, they're the best. Yeah, they're clearly two of the best in the UK, if not the two best, constantly battling out. Prof being that little bit ahead right now because Fuzzy is Ultra Rust, when he isn't playing like classic mode or adventure mode. And these two are sponsored by VWS. However, VA, who still does well when he goes to big tournaments, like we saw him at Beast, he placed 9th, didn't he? Just outside of top 8. That's a very good result, and he is still not sponsored, and that confuses me to no end. I mean,
he's so inactive though.
He's a ghost.
Yeah, I know, and that really annoys me. VA, please come back. I'm sick of just fanboying over you whenever I see you, because I love watching VA's Peach. As much as the nicest player in me hates it, I'm like, VA, yes. I think like him being VA sort of overarches the fact he plays Peach for me. I don't know, but
he's a very, very good player, and if he did the sort of things that that Prof did, like travel and just play at more tournaments, then by all means I feel he should be sponsored. I personally at the moment don't think Fuzzy should be sponsored by VWS, and to be honest, I mean, they're not really. I mean, like he won't be getting much from them at the moment at all, because he's not doing anything. Like, there's no reason.
Classic mode, Lorenzo. Do we not love that? Kappa.
No. Of course, no. That's great. If he wants to speedrun, fine. Let him speedrun. I enjoy watching it. I think that's great. But there is no reason that he should be sponsored as a Smash player, and until he starts becoming a more active player again, because he doesn't want to play at the moment, clearly, or at least doesn't want to go out and play much. Then there's no reason that a player like that should be sponsored. The players to be sponsored should be sponsored are the ones that are willing, not just to play, not just ones that are good and have potential, but also ones that are good and have potential and are willing to go out, travel also, and rep their scene and rep themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you.
That's what Prof's doing. He's going everywhere. He's going to America. He's going to Europe. He's going to all around the UK, to all of these little tournaments as well, these little monthlies, and taking all their money. And
damn you, Prof.
And that's exactly what sponsored players should be doing.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you can imagine that obviously, like EG will be upping PPMD's paycheck after Apex.
Yeah, true.
But for a long time, I mean, that's one of the things, of course, about teams. You don't really. If you're not doing anything, they won't do anything.
True.
So I mean, on that score, fine, absolutely fine. But the ones that actually are active, like really active in the sense of you see their name on placement on the results of lots of tournaments. Those are the players that ought to be sponsored.
Yeah, true. You're right.
So the ones that the ones that have the time to actually, because VA doesn't have the time at the moment really, because he's got a life, or at least supposedly that's the reason he doesn't have any time anyway. But that's why he's not playing much. He's not traveling to play. Yeah. So until he does, I'd be all for sponsoring VA. I'd be all for VA being sponsored.
Hashtag get VA sponsored. 2K15. Let's make it happen. Smash UK.
Well,
let's just bully him into playing again, because
look. If he's gonna play, then brilliant. Then great, sponsor the guy. But until then, there's no reason to, is there?
True.
So, I can think of a lot of players who one ought to sponsor. Yeah. More so based on what they're actually doing. You could sponsor Jin for the same reason, based on the fact that he travels a lot to play.
Yeah. Lorenzo, when is House of Hype sponsoring people?
I've thought about it, but I don't have the time to do all of that. I'm a student.
So I guess we can move into upcoming tournaments then.
Yeah.
Because we've just about exhausted as much as we can talk about with sponsorships. So, upcoming on March 21st, we have BUC Smash Duel of the DD Demons. Oh, who made that pun? Oh, my.
Well, Brado, who do you think?
Of course it was Brado. Of course it was Brado. That'll be happening in Leicester, and the confirmed entrants to that are going to be De Montfort, Brum City, Boston College, which has a question mark next to it, so maybe they're not confirmed, Warwick, and Nottingham. So I think that's going to be... Is that going to just be specifically a...
That is specifically a BUC Smash event.
Right, okay. So that's confirmed, specifically BUC Smash. So
yeah, we're going to have De Montfort, which is... the only player I'm aware of in that is Brado. I'm sure there are some other players who I'm sure there may be other players who've... when I only say noteworthy players in the sense of ones that have actually sort of shown themselves in tournaments in scenes as well, in various scenes. But in terms of De Montfort, I believe Brado is their key player.
All right.
In terms of Birmingham City, Wills is the key player. Mm-hmm. Boston College, I'm not actually aware. I believe the team captain at least is Avatar Jillian. And for as far as I'm aware, he and a lot of his players have had to pull out. My team...
I like how Rich was just a gradual build-up to just that laugh. That was magical. Just it started off so low. And
yeah. Sadly, also, UOL is not able to attend this event because we've all been bodied by work. Wills says it's fear, and he might be right, but I reckon we could have taken them.
The fear of LC, or is he shielding now? Who cares?
Yeah, no, he's probably shielding.
He's shielding.
So yeah, no, that'll be a good event. It's a great thing that JJ's doing, and it's just a shame that it's just not the right time of year really for students. So if he runs it again later in the year, maybe in the summer or towards the autumn term, then great.
The problem with this is that there's always going to be a bad time, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because Christmas, everyone's away, they all go home, and then you got Easter. Most people are doing their dissertations and exam prep. And in summer, you can't squeeze the whole competition in 2 months or a month and a half. You haven't got enough time, so it's always going to be a bit up in the air. But yeah.
Yeah, I suppose a good time to do it would probably be around the turn of the year, really, in January or February.
Yeah,
that's the time.
Or you could just do one big tournament, have all the universities come to him, and then just have them battle it out or something. I don't know.
There was a talk of whether 3, 5, or 1 event would be the best. We settled on 3, but actually I think in hindsight maybe 1 would be the best. So,
yeah,
but it's just so hard to coordinate.
Exactly. Anyway, moving on then to the day after in Birmingham is going to be Rose Villa Smash on March 22nd in Birmingham. And I think that's being hosted by Wills.
No. It's being hosted by Cone.
Cone.
Oh, okay. Yep, it is. Okay, yeah, you're right. I've just checked it now. It is Cone. Cone is hosting it, so it's bound to be a good tournament because that's the sort of thing that Cone does. And confirmed for that are Prof, Jolteon, Deathgazer, Jin, Biotarolg, JJL, How, or Kuro, and Candy. And they're going to be ladder pools. So that's 3 tiers of an 8-man bracket, which is a really interesting idea from what I've heard told to me about it. But yeah,
the idea is, I mean, I'm going to this as well. Rich, are you going to this?
I might be, yeah.
Lorenzo and Jin are confirmed. You've got to hold them to it now.
Well, no, I'm going. I booked my train tickets.
Yeah, obviously.
Ed is very kindly hosting for the night, or housing for the night, most of all us London players. So we're gonna have a big fest at his house the day before, which should be a lot of fun.
Cool.
And yeah, then this tournament, the idea is that you have 2 hours. You can challenge whoever you like, and you move up and down the ladder. Based on who wins and who loses. It's literally 2 hours of anyone can play anyone. I don't know if you're allowed to play the same person. You're allowed to run things back. Maybe not. So I'd consider that a good idea if you couldn't run things back. You're not allowed to challenge people more than 8 rungs on the ladder above or below you. So the top players can't just farm the bottom players, and the bottom players will have to play each other to sort of claw their way back into the middle or the top. And however many players are there, I think there'll probably be about 40, or there'll be quite a lot anyway. The top 8 will then play an 8-man bracket, which is Gold League, or Gold Bracket. The top 9 to 16 will play Silver Bracket, and the top 17 to 24 will play Bronze Bracket. So we'll have 3 tiers of brackets, which is a really nice way of doing it, actually. It's a bit like an amateur bracket idea. And it gives a lot of... I mean, it still means you'll have to work to get into a bracket, but it means that a lot of players will be given the opportunity to show themselves off. And it also means that the sort of high-level players can all bash each other. Because, I mean, we've already just mentioned about 7 players who will probably make it into the top 8. I mean, they'll all have to play each other, but, you know, like Prof will be right at the top, Jolteon, Deathgazer, Jin, Vince, etc., JGL, How, etc., etc., etc. We'll all be right near the top.
Yeah.
I think Will's might be going as well. I'm not sure. I assume he is.
Will's is going to be there. Did I not write it? Did I write Will's? Oh.
Yeah. So Will's as well. You know, there are loads, basically all the top players can then fight amongst themselves, and then all the slightly the higher sort of, you know, like medium level, the high medium players can fight amongst themselves, and it means that people aren't just going to get destroyed by Prof. Basically, they can still win.
Woo!
There'll be trophies, so it should be
There
awesome.
are trophies. I've seen the trophies. The trophies are well done.
Yeah. All right.
I've got high hopes for this. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I know. I'm really looking forward to this. Cone Run's
I'm going to farm LC.
Yeah, you are.
Farm him.
I'm going to farm Calzum.
Make the princess proud. All right, so moving on then to an event I'm very sad I can't make it to, because it's actually happening on my sister's birthday, which is Legend of Melee, March 28th.
Oh, bruh.
I know. Family ties. Absolutely horrible. But, yep, this is an event which has been heavily advertised by Rich. So, Rich, if you want to just advertise it even more, go for it.
Yeah, it's on the 28th of March. We got about 50 people signed up already. But cap is 96. When we did SLDI 3, 55 people signed up in the last few days, so there's still a chance to sign up now. We got about 40 TVs. We're going to run an amateur bracket. So from seeing Southampton and also Cardiff, how well it went there and everything, we're definitely doing that. We got £5 for singles, £5 entry, and £3 for doubles. So it should be a really good event. We've got Zeppo, Shifting Shadows coming down. We've got Adam from the Netherlands coming over. We've got Fuzzy, Croft, the usuals. Yeah, Adam Dutchy's coming over, yeah.
Good stuff.
And there is a rumour, but that Leffen will be coming.
Easy money.
Easy money, yeah.
Not sure about that. I think he's in America.
We don't know yet. Is he going to America instead? But yeah. But we don't know. But yeah, it should be a really good tournament. Loads of games, loads of setups. So yeah, come down and have some fun. I know some NE guys come down, aren't they?
DCJ, Deerbound. Well, actually, no, I'm not too sure about those two. I think Sui is going down, which will be hilarious because he'll just get destroyed. Love you, Lee. I don't know. I don't know who's going. I don't know who's going anymore. Like it's so up in the air. People are like, "Oh yeah, I'm going. Oh, I'm going." And then it's like, "Oh wait, no, I'm not." At the same time, though, on the same weekend, if you are a fan of Smash 4, there's Dat Smashdow 3 happening on March 28th also at Heart of Gaming. And confirmed for this are, excuse me while I say this, Jay Miller, GP, Silent Doom, and Bowie are the confirmed names, from what I gather. I'm sure that some more names will pop up. I think Luigi Mitsu has expressed interest in going as well.
The Heel Old Guard will probably be there.
Yeah, Heel Old Guard will be there. Will Exis be there? I don't know how many events Exis attends nowadays. I don't know.
I think he's trying to be fairly active with Smash 4. Hopefully he will be.
Yeah.
Just, Tom, if you're listening to this, it's a terrible name. Change it.
Yeah, please. Please do. Tom, we love you, but come on, dude. Really?
Yeah.
You could have... Oh, whatever. Anyway, moving along, on the very next day, after Legend of Melee, and DSD, because I refuse to call it that name, March 29th, is going to be Melee Exchange 3, and confirmed for that are, of course, the usual suspects there. Wills, Calzum, Blood Bowler... Candy's actually going up, as is Kuro.
Prof.
Is Prof going? Prof's confirmed now as well.
Yep.
Prof's going to go and sweep them all. Sweet.
Yeah, Prof is not going to be done until he's gone to every single scene and rinsed them of their cash.
I mean, NE's already
done all
done.
Of their cash.
I mean, if he's done the NE, does that mean that he doesn't have to come back for NES 3? I'd quite like to place top 8 again, please.
He's coming back to NES 3 and he's
I know.
Gonna rinse you of your money again.
Oh god, are you coming to NES 3, Lorenzo?
Yeah, of course I am.
Good man. Speaking of NES 3, April 12th, Northeast Smashuu number 3. That's what it stands for. Northeast Smashuu is not the name of the tournament. It's Northeast Smashuu. It's a very dumb inside joke that occurred in the Northeast Smash chat ages and ages ago. So just that's the name of the tournament. It's not Northeast Smash. Stop calling it that. But confirmed for that are, of course, Professor Pro, Jin, Wills. Of the Battlefield, of course, are going to be there in full force.
Oh yes.
Everyone's favourite commentators, Angry Junk Chav, is going to be there. He's going to be esports. I'm forced him to be esports because Air Raid was a one-off, everyone, I'm afraid. NSFW Chav comes out once in the blue moon. It's hilarious, but it's just not okay for regular streams. Like, oh man. Yeah, but it's going to be a good event. Get yourself up to Newcastle, please. For me, I don't know. Are Manchester coming up, Dave, for NES 3?
I don't think we are. I'd like to, but I don't think I can get it off work.
Fair enough.
We've got a tournament like before that in Lancaster. Not Lancaster. Is it Lancaster? Yeah, Lancaster. That we'll be going to. So I'm not.
Which tournament's that?
Well, it's just called Project M Tournament. It's hosted by some people. It was called Smashville.
Nice and descript.
Yeah, there's this gaming community in Lancaster called Smashville, and they're hosting a Project M tournament. So.
Oh, fair enough.
That's on the 4th of April. If anyone wants to know about that. Yeah, we'll go into that. So I don't think any of us will be coming up to NES, unfortunately.
Oh, that's a shame. But hey, it was a pleasure having you all up for NES too.
Yeah, it was great. It was actually great really coming down. So.
Cool. It was also fun standing outside the venue for the first half an hour while we waited for somebody to come and unlock it. Shout out to G4G.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long we're staying there. Ooh, bit of insight. Anyway, I don't think I can talk more on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that just about concludes episode 8 of the podcast. Guys, if you have Twitter... Actually, you do have Twitters. At D2D_Jin and at Captain Moses, unless I'm very much mistaken.
Yeah, Jin is spelled G-I-J-N.
Yes, we'll put that in the title of the video. It'll be on the overlay anyway. Follow those guys on Twitter. Of course, we do have the OTB Smash, which I think everybody just forgot about. At OTB_Smash, where you can ask us questions that we can do at the end of these segments, but I don't think anyone asked any questions. But hey, that'll come in time. And of course, Lorenzo at Lorenzo the Kind, myself at Wobbling Skrull. Thank you, everybody, and take care.